It's in the Quran. Like, the when your wife disobeys you, God gives you 3 steps. The first one is to tell her. The second one is to forsake her in bed, like basically go out, like don't sleep with her. And the third one is beating her.
How do you normally deal with that? Because I'll sit around, kwani kuna watu wako upside down?
Yeah. No, I think everyone, like, helping, there's a way how you should eat food in portions and whatnot. There is a way of how to have sex, like, what foot to go into the toilet with, what to say when you're going to the toilet. Yes.
So which foot, with that in mind, do you think before your wife met you, was she an anti-natalist? History of 72 virgins. Someone wrote to me and told me it's wrong. It's nowhere.
Yeah.
So how true is it? Is it a real story ama ni story tu mtu alikaa chini akaanzisha rumor nayo?
Yeah, so as I told you, hadith. Like, hadith is the prophet saying and the prophet doings, like, that were reported by people. And 300 years after the prophet died is when hadiths were compiled for the first time.
Yes.
Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari.
Yes.
Sahih being, like, sahihi.
Yes.
You understand? So, like, and there were grades of hadith.
Yes.
Sahih being the true, like, undisputable. That's where you get Aisha being 6 years old.
Okay.
Like, the Prophet's wife when he was marrying her. That's where you get Muslims should be killed. Muslims when they leave their religion, they should be killed. All those are Sahih hadiths. You understand? Which are regarded as completely true.
Yes.
And then you have Hasan hadith. Now this 72 virgins is a Hasan hadith. Yeah, so it's the second grade. It's not like, in the chain of narrations, like, over the time from the Prophet to the 300 years, there might be someone who was a liar or something of the sort, like, but then it's a good hadith. You understand? So this is a Hasan hadith, like, about the 72, the number specifically. But in the Quran, like, God again, time and again promises these, they call them Hurul Ain. You understand? He promises Muslims, like, all these the virgins, and really gives descriptions of they have big breasts and they have these colored eyes, and they, like, hadiths also come and now explain
they have big bums.
I don't think it says that, like,
but they have big breasts.
But their breast, they say
so
full breasted.
That means they are not meant for Africans. Africans love bums,
yeah. But I know, but then the thing is, they say that as a Muslim, once you get there, God will alter you into a way that this is what you're gonna want. Like just the way you said you don't like milk and honey, you're gonna like, those are the things that show me. Like, for example, the Muslim woman doesn't have the same thing, like the equivalent of
she's not getting 72 penises.
No, she's not getting 72. Actually, a Muslim woman, if she was a fourth wife in here, she's still gonna be a fourth wife, but then jealousy will be removed from her. So she will not be feeling jealous when the man is sleeping with the virgins in heaven. At least
it's a road deal. Yes.
Yeah, for when I see all these things, like, combined and whatnot, because now you cannot just come and say, morally the Prophet married, so me, I'm not a Muslim. No, I really had to go to historical context, like, something like right now the Israeli Palestinian war. At the end of the day, at the core thing, it's a religious war.
Yes.
Yeah, one people believe that God is the one who gave them the right to this land, and now they can otherize these other people and kill them.
Yeah.
You understand? And they can point at Hamas. But then if you really go and I really believe it's wrong.
Yes.
Like, what's happening to the Palestinians.
Yeah, I think that's like, I think it's as a rational human
being, yeah.
Yes, as any person with empathy, you see what's happening there, and it's literally a genocide.
Yeah.
And so and it's a genocide based on a lie.
Yes, based on a lie,
yes,
which is God's chosen people.
Yes, the only difference between wewe na yeye is you both believe in different fairy tales.
Yeah.
Like, wanna believe you wanna believe hivi, but now let's kill each other. So I understand what you mean.
And but then now the thing is, like, you might think it's just something to the Jews. Unfortunately, like, if you go back in Islam.
Yes.
The Prophet of Islam once went into, and this is also one of the reasons why I said, no, this cannot be, because the Prophet is supposed to be an example of all humankind. Every single thing he did was right. And I said, this, what he did here was wrong. You understand? So there was a battle of the trench, I think, where where the Prophet was living when he had power in Medina.
Yes.
There were Jews. You understand? And one of the tribe of the Jews was called Banu Qurayza. And now the Prophet was fighting other Jews who were coming from another place, and they had a treaty with Banu Qurayza. And then these other ones, the Prophet, when these other people came, the Muslims defeated them. And when they defeated them, when they were coming to lay down their arms, they got a suspicion that these ones who had signed a treaty with them were siding with these other ones. What they did was, and this is all in Islamic hadith and whatnot, verified sources, they went and sieged this small, just like, the Israelis are sieging Gaza. They sieged, and for 25 days. And after 25 days, the Jews gave up and they negotiated, and the Jews said, okay, there's a guy who was a former Jew called Sa'ad, I think bin Mu'adh, and said, let this guy pass judgment on us. You understand? We really didn't do all this, but then, we are under a siege, and let this guy pass judgment on us. The judgment that was passed under the foreseeing of the Prophet was all men who had pubic hair be executed by beheading. 600 to 900 men were executed at that time. Where I was like, why wasn't the Prophet merciful? Okay, even if this and this, we are sold this Prophet who is a very humble man and whatnot, but then he oversaw, sat in a place where he oversaw chopping of heads of almost 600 to 900 men in front of him. And I was saying, okay. And what they were doing was they were putting, boys as well were being killed. They would put your hand up, see if you have pubic hair. If you have pubic hair, you're executed. You understand? And the women taken as captives. And I said, isn't that the same thing that is happening? It's just that the power has changed. Yes. And that's the problem with religion. And that's why, I really feel it's important for people to know about religion and what they're believing in. And because without religion, when we understand we are all just animals.
Human,
yes. We're all just this, and there's way more that can bring us together than divide us. Yeah. And all these are just fairy tales. You understand? You can literally see that these are man-made stories.
Because it depends with where you're born.
Yeah.
Depends with where you're born. Because there's this Liverpool player, Alexander Isaac.
Yes.
Nikiangalia yeye, I see a Somali. But he's Eritrean, yes? His roots ni Eritrean. But it means if angezaliwa Somalia, angekuwa Muslim. Maybe ningezaliwa in some part of Nigeria, ningekuwa Muslim, and it would have been Muslim by force.
Yes.
Sindio? But ngezaliwa part ingine, ningekuwa Christian. Africans wale wanafanana mimi kabisa, massacring each other in Nigeria
just
based on religion. And this is, I think, the part people never accept. That you see, when they look at people who are non-believers and they wonder, why aren't you violent? And sisi tunakuwa on the other side kuzileza, if this thing, I think religion can make you justify the most horrific acts.
Yes.
You saw this story that happened in Pakistan, a man alinajisi a girl, and the families decided to settle out of court. So this other family was told, since this man alinajisi daughter wenyu, your son can najisi our daughter, like sistake, as a revenge. And I was like, how you want to take a woman? Because I don't think there's a worse crime for a woman to go through than SA, because it stays with you forever. It's not something that you'll wake up alafu iishe. Alafu it takes away the pleasure of sex away from you. You'll never enjoy it.
True.
And you look at all this, and it's somehow justified under religion, that since it happened, it has happened. So you find that religion can make you justify the most horrific acts.
Maybe that specific instance, maybe I don't know if it has religious background or anything, because I don't know if, I think in the case of rape, maybe someone can I don't remember exactly what Islam says about that. That might be maybe cultural or what they decided to do. But like, for example, sex slavery that is in Islam.
Yes.
Sex slavery, you owning a slave is literally you owning them. Then there is no consent there. And for example, now my uncle, I have an uncle in Mombasa who literally sleeps with his maids. And like, when you ask him, he tells you it's like sex slavery is allowed. Like, it is allowed for. And when you go and actually read about the Prophet, you can see that he was gifted a girl.
And how old is this uncle?
He's, I think, almost 60. Like,
And he's not even mastered his sexual desires.
No, but he's saying that the Islam accepts it. You understand? He literally sleeps with his maids, and when you come and ask house helps, and when you come and ask, he tells you. But then people are not understanding. It's rape.
You married?
He's married, yeah, 2 wives.
And the 2 wives just
and
accept
the 2 wives
that?
Are, it's okay. Like, when you come with Islam, like, who will tell you
you're wrong.
You understand? But sleeps with his house helps and justifies it using Islam, justifying using the story of the Prophet when he was brought a slave girl from Egypt, like, a Coptic slave girl from Egypt called Mary the Coptic. And the Prophet used to sleep with her to the point where he used to sleep with her in the room of one of the companions of the Prophet, which was Umar, which was also the person who brought the hijab, by the way. Like, one of the things that show me that Islam is man-made is actually the hijab. Many Muslims and Muslim women don't know. But the hijab was not a command that was just coming from God. When you read the Quran, you really have to read. There's something called asbabun nuzul, like, the reason why an ayah came down. Because as I told you, the Quran did not just come down as a book. Something was happening, and God was responding to that. You understand? So in this case, like, the Prophet's wives used to go to the toilet, and at those times the toilet was somewhere outside. You understand? And on their way outside, people used to heckle them, and like, they were not wearing hijab was not a thing by that time, and they used to say, make fun of them, objectify them and whatnot. And there's a guy called Umar who is the Prophet's companion, and he went and told the Prophet, like, I'm not this is not good. Make sure your wives are covering up. You understand? Not to be objectified. The Prophet didn't say anything about it at first. And again, like, it happened a couple times. And one time, I think it was, I don't know which wife of the Prophet and actually one of the wives of the Prophet was his daughter. But anyways, so he sees the wife of the Prophet go to the toilet, a place called Al-Mawasi at night, which was where they were going to relieve themselves. And he sees, and now he goes back to the Prophet angry and telling him, like, I've suggested this a couple of times, you have to. And an ayah comes. Like, and an ayah now comes, which an ayah coming is the Prophet speaking, basically. But the ayah comes, and says, like, okay, you need to cover up. You understand? You need to cover up. And that's where the hijab ayah comes, and that's what's
Now, Nini, covering your eyes, how does that come up? Because the hijab ni nywele tu, sindio?
Yeah. No, basically they say a clock on your thing, and now the hadiths are the ones that tells you to what degree you put, but the Quran tells you just cover up. And this is the reason why it came. And now, even now, why I believe it's man-made is because now Umar in another hadith now says that, listen, like, I agreed on God on a few things, and one of them was about the covering of the hijab. God agreed with me. So you can just see how he was the one putting pressure on the Prophet, and the Prophet now saying, oh, God has accepted, has said that, oh, okay, actually they were, when it was a suggestion from basically a companion. And all these things are in Islamic studies and whatnot. And there's also beating of the woman.
How's that?
It's in the Quran. Like, when your wife disobeys you, God gives you 3 steps. The first one is to tell her. The second one is to forsake her in bed, like, basically go out, like, don't sleep with her. And the third one is beating her. Now, this is one of the main problem of the people who deny hadith. because at least in this case hadith says beat her lightly, and which is not even at least why beat
beat someone,
like even if it's lightly, it's a human being you can talk to, but anyways, like
it's an adult also,
you
can reason,
but in the Quran is only says strike her. Like now it does not explain how to. So for the people who are Quran only Muslims who say the hadith are like bullshit, and they are not able to, you cannot get everything out from the hadith, now they have to say, okay, how? It does not say how to beat her, it literally just says beat her, you understand? And now there are people who beat, like gender-based violence basically accepted by your God.
Damn. And then another thing I have to ask, you see, questioning Christianity is in quotes safe. Like I'll question Christianity and be a former Christian, and Christians will be angry at me in the comments, wataniambia kitu kama my people perish for lack of knowledge, and they say things like a fool says in his heart that there is no God. But I always feel like questioning Islam is dangerous. Is that true? Is that statement true? So people will always even ask me that, you always question Christianity, why don't you question Islam? And then of course my defense in Akwaga, I've never practiced it, I don't understand it. But one thing that I understand is I understand Christianity. For another thing that I understand is through scientific evidence, there is no evidence of any God.
Religion,
of any God. Sindio? So with that, sema all religions, but ikikam to specifically this verse, that verse, what I understand is Christianity, and I always find it to be also humorous, because I look at it's like looking at the world through the eyes of someone who existed before people understood how nature works. Because even if you have to look at science, another thing about science is science has been studied actively only for the last 400 years. Usually like active studying, now it's let's invest in this thing, this thing can change our lives. It's around 400 years. So, and in 400 years, internet, electricity, vaccines, blah, blah, blah. You can try and imagine what's going to happen after 1,000 years, what's going to happen after 10,000 years of science. I think it's going to be ridiculous. So, Wewe, do you always fear that you're questioning something that should never be questioned?
I'm not fearing, and because Muslims at the very core really believe if you are logical and you really think, the last the religion that you're going to find is Islam. And all that I'm saying is I'm using my logic, and I'm using there's no place where I'm blasphemous in a way that I'm saying that the religion is saying something that it's not saying. All my things that I'm saying are from the religion, and all that I'm saying is that because of all the things that your religion is saying, I have logically come to say that it's not true. If it's not true, you should not feel like I'm attacking you or anything. I will burn in hell. I'm accepting burning in hell. What other bigger punishment is there than burning in hell for eternity, other than you ending my life? And so I really, if I was living in an Islamic state, where they are implementing Sharia law, leaving Islam is punishable by death. Which as well, is something that I philosophically use to say that then this is not a secure religion. It's a very insecure religion, because if someone is choosing to fail the test that God has put them into, why is a human doing the punishment? Why aren't you believing that God is gonna punish me? You understand? Why is the punishment given to your hand as a human being? You understand? And whatnot. So all that I'm not fearful. I'm also not fearful of death. Death is what will happen to everyone eventually. If Muslims believe anything, is that you die when your time is done. Okay, then I'll take that philosophy as well. And but I believe that I believe that people need to know what they're believing in, because many Muslims that I talk to, when I tell them all this that I've told you, the first reaction when I tell them sex slavery, they tell me no Aziz, that thing doesn't exist. You understand? For example, I tell them now this Banu Qurayza, one of the massacre, the Jewish massacre, one of the people massacred was the father of the later wife's prophet, okay, Safiya. and then now the prophet goes to another Jew encampment and kills, like, they besiege and kill all the other Jewish, like, men, just like they did in the other one. And in this first one, the father of Safiya dies. In the second one, the brother and the husband of Safiya is killed. And in the same night of the killing of the husband and the brother, and another time the father had been killed, the prophet comes and first and wants this Safiya, who is the daughter of the ruler.
Yes.
You understand? And sleeps with her in the same night that he has killed the husband. You understand? Now,
so that's basically, that's not consent.
Yeah, that's not consent. That's sex slavery. Muslims will try and all these stories are in there. You understand? So what I'm coming into is like all this, like, once they will deny all these stories, they will tell you, Aziz, no, these stories are made up. These are Islamophobe stories. Yes. You understand? And then the second thing, I will tell them, okay, this and this is where I'm quoting this story from. And they will go and read, and they'll come back and say, okay, it's there, but you have to look at the context. Yes. And it's not there anymore today or stuff like that. And I tell them, just now you are disagreeing with it, and now your moral story has changed for you to accommodate this story and whatnot. So, that's where we differ. You will accommodate it. I will say, okay, it's not something that I want to believe, and we can have a difference, and let me burn in hell.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Let me, if you as well really believe in hell, let me burn in hell. But you killing me is almost being insecure about your belief.
Yes.
Almost being insecure about your gods instead of actually God, who is greater than anything, punishing me forever. So, yeah.
Okay, because this has reminded me, because when we talk about how we always change according to like what we try to justify our beliefs, and we are like, this is not literal. If you go to like the Bible, I think in Deuteronomy 20, that's why I always say like all these religions are very interesting. So with Deuteronomy 20 kuna kuaga, but if this ati ilikuwa like then they shall give the elders, this is stories of virginity, yes. Yeah, so ilikuwa therefore chapter 16 ya Deuteronomy something ilikuwa there, the father of the young woman shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter to this man in marriage, but he has come to dislike her and now accuses her of misconduct. Sindio? I did not find evidence of your daughter's virginity, but here is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread out the cloth before the elders of the city. So lazima to prove virginity ya dem. Then the city elders shall take the man and discipline him, and fine him 100 silver shekels, which they shall give to the young woman's father, because the man slandered a virgin in Israel. She shall remain his wife, and he may not divorce her as long as he lives. So cheki, this is forceful marriage where people don't love each other.
Yeah.
But if this charge is true, and the evidence of the young woman's virginity is not found, they shall bring the young woman to the entrance of the father's house, and there the men of her town shall stone her to death, because she committed a shameful crime in Israel by prostituting herself in her father's house. Thus shall purge you the evil from your midst. Unacheki, if a man is discovered lying with a woman who's married to another, they both shall die. The man who was lying with the woman as well as the woman. Thus you shall purge the evil from Israel. So these verses are in the Bible, and the same Bible.
Is it Old Testament or New Testament?
What watasema hivyo. But now the counter argument inagoga, where are the 10 commandments in the New Testament about the Old Testament?
In the Old Testament.
So if we are disregarding everything in the Old Testament, are we disregarding the 10 commandments?
Yeah.
You understand, where now you look for something to wiggle out. And like with Christianity, the biggest defenders of Christianity are women. And you're always like, most of you hamfai kuwa mna exist, mnafaa kuwa mshatandikwa mawe, because mlikuwa out here doing crazy stuff.
Yes.
But you go like, no, like you can't have it both ways. And this is and that's why I was telling you, it's not an Islam thing, it's an all religion thing, where reality versus your beliefs. But you know, now you can't question, because see, every time tuna question, people are afraid. They're like, these people are going to be struck by lightning. This is going to happen to them. This is going to happen to them. And that's the reason why people never question. But when you think about it, I always say this about Christianity. But number one, I always believe that most pastors are atheists, especially prosperity pastors, the ones who sell success. They'll tell you, send me 1,000 shillings and you'll get a job. Sell me. If they believed in God, they'd never do that.
Yeah.
And then I always say the average believer is not a believer because they'll fornicate, they'll do everything.
No, they don't know what they're believing in. Most of the cases, like, like, because if you really are a believer, you would not literally not do what God is telling you not to do.
Yes.
You understand? You cannot be a Muslim going clubbing and stuff and saying, oh, when it's to defending Islam, you're defending because, like, while you're doing that, you almost don't believe that God, but I am a true believer in the text, and I'm saying, okay, I'm rejecting this text.
Yes.
You are a believer who's trying to manipulate the text to
fit your lifestyle.
And that's why the Quran really, in the chapter number 2, verse number 11, calls them the innovators. You understand? The reformers. And calls them, like, they're the worst. They're the worst than actually non-believers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The munafiqun are what's worse than, and that's literally what these people are doing. Anyways, now I think coming out of Islam, so maybe I ask you a question.
Yeah.
So when you are leaving the religion, like, religion gives you, they tell you religion gives you morals, gives you meaning of life and whatnot. So how was that process? Like, did you go into emptiness, and how did you find reason and meaning?
I think, as I was saying, like, the minute that you find out, you even study other animals, and you notice that these other animals live as a community, and they rarely kill each other. Like, humans are more likely to kill each other than is the other species. They'll kill each other only when it's time for, like, who's the leader of the pack, but they live with a certain structure. So I think after seeing that and just understanding that it's innate, like compassion, empathy, hizo vitu zote ziko ndani yangu. And also for me, I think it's always easy because when I look at Christianity, especially in Nyanza, Luo Nyanza, I know that this thing arrived in the early 1900s. So it means that all my people who lived before 1900s never believed in this. My grandfather from my mother's side was born in 1902. He passed away. So that means that my great-grandfather was not a Christian. And since he was not a Christian, I know that my morality is not based on religion. Yes, I think, because I think a lot of people don't. You see, when we look at this thing, we think the only reason I don't kill is because it's written in a book. But that's not the reality. You don't kill because it's just in you not to want to harm other people. So I think I never had any issue, any problem.
So where do you get your morals from? For example, do you know right from wrong?
I just know right from wrong. The same way an animal knows right from wrong. Like your dog will rarely attack you. After ishakujua. So yes, I think it's just innate in human. I think it's just an evolutionary trait where, because we need to survive as a species, so compassion and just easy vitu zote, it's just in us, it's just innate.
And what's your meaning of life? Or like what keeps you alive? Or what?
I just enjoy life. I think it's one of those things. Even the puzzle of not knowing why we are here. To me, it's just one of those amazing things. Like, I don't know why we are here. But I'm alive. I know the odds of being alive were like, they are so random. Yani the odds are, I don't know how to put it, but almost it's easier to win a lottery. Yes, it's easier to win a lottery than to have existed. So when you look at all this stuff, and then to me, I always look at humans as animals, and I'm amazed at this animal that showed up in this universe and tried to figure out how the universe works. So it's like the universe produced this thing now is trying to understand the universe. And then another thing ilewaga funny ni when you understand nature, like kama saizi tunajua utaona when phones are being launched, they'll be like, we've used 90% recycled materials, sindio? And then you come to find out that even sisi wenyewe, this is recycled material. Like your cells are not new, it's just recycled cells, like recycled to new, what is it called, like new, like ukikunywa maji, it's the same water that has existed since earth yanze. There is no new water being formed. So I always find that to be more fascinating. I don't know if that makes sense. Like sometimes you just sit down and you look at science explain nature and the world, and it's so beautiful. And it's pure the thing of it's okay not to know. Why are we here? I don't know.
We don't know yet.
Where did we come from? We don't know. Is there other life in the universe? We don't know. Like it's okay not to know.
Yes.
And it's better not to know and keep asking questions than to know everything.
Than creating gods.
Yes, creating gods.
As a result, know everything.
Yes.
I mean, the questions that we're asking ourselves right now, the gods are the ones answering where are we coming from and whatnot. But, that's what they call the God of the gaps.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't know, so it must be God.
Yes.
Yeah, but science says we don't know, so we have to find out.
Yes.
And the reason why the God of the gaps don't work is if you look at... if you go back and look at the Greek gods, the Thors and whatnot, people at that time did not looked at the sky, did not know how thunder forms, how rain forms, how the ocean is.
Yes.
And what did they do? They created gods for them. And when they created gods for them, eventually when science caught up and we understood that, when the people who said we don't know and we have to find out, when they came and found out, all those gods died. Now those gods are just movie characters. I believe that today's gods as well will only be movie characters once we get to know the answers that we for the questions that we're asking right now. Personally, I think one of the main problems that we have to face right now is the death of religion.
Yes.
I believe that religion is dying. I can see it dying. I can see the new generation. And because everyone, unlike before, when religion was very monopolized, for example, the Christian church, the Catholic church, they were the only people who could know, because the Bible had not been translated until when the Protestants came. Right now, we are also having another kind of revolution where we have AI, where every single person can really go. You don't have to base your beliefs on a sheikh who will filter out, or a pastor who will filter out. Every single person has the access to go and read for themselves this, and I really believe it will crumble, and it is crumbling, and I'm seeing it crumble. When you go to Reddit, the ex-Muslims are growing in number and whatnot. When you go to all these countries, people are becoming more of, the religions they're adopting is consumerism and money and whatnot, and are leaving, the fundamental religions. People are trying to change the religions to conform and whatnot.
To their modern lifestyles.
Yeah, and I think Nietzsche had written about this in his philosophy, where he says, God is dead and we killed him. And, it was not celebratory. And I really think now it is up to modern thinkers to think and to really give people alternatives, because religions are dying. People are realizing religions are dying, and when religions die, there's a really big problem that is created of where do people get meaning from. You understand, you have been able to curate your own meaning according to yourself and whatnot, but I really think we need to at least it's one of my desires to be able to tell people there is meaning beyond religion. There is meaning, for example, I subscribe to the absurdist way of thinking. I believe as well life is meaningless, and every single person creates their own meaning. And I think that every person can create their own meaning. You can decide that your life is all about wanting to help people. You can decide there is no preordained meaning that you have to conform through. And when it comes to rules and whatnot, I believe that morals, humans have always created morals. If I'm saying religions are man-made, also those morals in the religions were also man-made. But the problem with the morals of religion were that they stayed back in time. They could not evolve. Today, cutting a thief's hand is, or stoning an adulterer is not the best way of dealing with things. And using human thinking, we can both come to meaning, for example, having your own meaning, and also create good rules. For example, there is a way of in philosophy in how to come up with rules, which is called the veil of ignorance. Basically, it tells you the way you can create the best rules is imagine you have not come to earth yet, and you don't know whether you're coming as a woman, whether you're coming as a homosexual, whether you're coming as a transgender, whether you're coming as a animal or anything. Create rules for that will accommodate every single person. You understand? Without one person having less.
Yes.
At that time, you will create, like, you will not stone homosexuals, or you will not create different rules for. You will try and create so that in any case that you come into the world, in any of them, you are comfortable. That is better than any religion rules, for example. And that's why human mind and philosophy and being able to think and whatnot, I really think Kenya should replace religion with philosophy. There's no need for having IRE, CRE, HRE students. Let's teach religion like we teach mythology and whatnot, just and teach how to think instead of what to think, and let them choose. Like, if they find religion, they will. But I really think as a country, for us to prosper, and we really need to completely replace and make people, instead of conformists, like, questioning. We need a questioning population. And
because we have a very religious president, and things are not going as they should be going. People still call him a thief. People still call him. And how do you deal with the fact that people who can't understand a scientific explanation dismiss it? So since you can't understand evolution, then it's not real. Because it's easier to believe that this was created ilichukua 6 days old. Like majuzi nilikuwa nimeshare how whales evolved, and someone was there laughing like, hey, nonsense. So you see, like, the fact that whales are the only mammals zile ziko ndani ya maji. So it's literally like a mammal was like, I'm tired, let me just go into water. And then with time, just billions of years of evolution, whales zika show up. And so you understand that evil. The thing I was talking about, like majuzi last year, early this year, there was this guy, he's a rapper. I used to listen to him back in the days. Nowadays, I think he's so ignorant that sina time yake. Anaitwa Lord Jama. Used to be a group in a group called Brandobian. So he was arguing with scientists about the earth being round. And his argument was, how are there people who are upside down? And if you remember what I was telling you, where nature, I think I always quote this quote nilisikia from Neil deGrasse Tyson, him, the guy who teaches science. And he was like, the universe is under no obligation to make sense to you. So the fact that earth iko round, of course tumeshikiliwa na gravity. Wewe kwako, in your perception, that's what you think it's upside down. But it's actually not upside down. So alikuwa nasema like ukishika ball hivi, and the ball is in your hand. To you it's upside down, but the ball is not upside down. To the ball itself, you haiko upside down. It's your perception that you've decided this side is down and this side is up.
But it's still, the ball is not the center of gravity.
The
center of gravity is still the center of gravity.
The center of gravity is still there. So how do you normally deal with that? Because mzari kwa wall see round, kwani kuna watu wako upside down?
No, I think everyone, like, I had a question, and I really want us to come into anti-natalism next. But then, we had a debate with one of my former colleagues that was in our office the other day, and telling me, Aziz, stop going to tell these things to people. People are stupid. Like, they're gonna literally start believing you. I don't think people are stupid. I think people are smart, and they just don't have access to information. They just don't have access to information, and this is what the powerful does. They make sure your information is limited so that you're not able to, by teaching us, as a country, by being taught religion, we're literally taught how to what to think, not how to think, and not questioning and whatnot. So that person, I really believe, just the reason why I'm also here, that by talking and by explaining to people, by taking to people, step by step, by coming, instead of just saying, oh, this person is stupid and stuff like that, to their who allegorize this. And there's something called the allegory of the cave, where, he says, imagine people who are in chains, you understand, in a cave, and they're looking just at a wall, and in a cave, and every single thing that they see is a light behind, and all that they see are shadows. You understand? Where, hawajaiona the light, wako chained facing that side, their reality is shadows. You understand? And then one person breaks free, and goes outside and sees, okay, there's a sun and there's this, and understands that all that we are seeing are shadows. You understand? When this person comes and tries and explains to these people that, oh, listen, what you're actually seeing are shadows, what happens is that this person is fought. These people become violent and they degrade. But you, as someone who has seen, should understand that this person is still in chains looking at shadows, and you should bring yourself to the level of trying to make them understand. And that's, I believe, is what I'm trying to do.
Okay,
you understand?
okay. Which you do in a very good way. Because I'll be honest, because I got my atheism through comedians like Ricky Gervais. There's another one called kuna George Carlin. Apart from George Carlin, there's another one called Jim Jeffries. Jim Jeffries.
I think,
yes.
I know him. The one who doesn't have a beard. Okay.
Yes. So the fact that they always mock it, I've always I find myself mocking it. So I think your way is better than mine. Because I'll hear about a virgin giving birth and it just makes me laugh. I hear about snakes talking. I'll hear about stories a lot, and his wife looking back, turning into salt. I always find them to be hilarious. So that's why. So I think your way is better because maybe it reaches more people without offending them.
You're not diminishing the person. You're telling them, yes, you are smart, but now think with me. You understand? Let me come and now take you through the process at least that I went through. You understand?
Yes.
So that I can show you why it is. And if you still don't want to, then okay, it's no problem. I don't have a religion that forces you into that. The only thing is that I want to teach because I believe the world is a better place without religions. I believe the world is a better place without divisions. Muslims are told to. I think I had once my brother calling some other people makafiri, and this is still a lingo that goes around in Mombasa.
Yes.
And I hated that thing and said, don't call people that way. There was a time I used to pray God extinguish hellfire and just take all people, because you can see the moment there's a religion which tells you you're right, you already otherize.
Yes.
And even in religion there's divisions, in Muslims don't see Shias as there are no Sunnis don't see Shias as equal religions and whatnot. I believe if we're able to dismantle this, we become more peaceful, we become more cooperative, we understand each other more at a human level, and this is the goal. The goal is not to call you stupid for believing in religion. The goal is to tell you that, listen, there's a division that has been created and it's man-made, and these are the reason why it's man-made. And once we don't have that, our Somali brother, in there should be able to mingle and intermarry with a Kenyan, with a Aboriginal person. All of us are humans, at the same levels, and there is more to live in life. If we do according to human thinking and what not done, separate us,
okay. So there is I think so we agree mostly on religion. I think to agree on the dangers of it. We don't agree on
one last thing before we go into what we don't agree on, is Islamic colonization. Islam has completely as well colonized our cultures. Our Somalis had very deep cultures. They had their own god, they had their own ways of dressing. One colonization that we also need to see is Islamic colonization, where they come, it prohibits music. I love when I was reading, when I was in Turkey, people ask you who are you, what's your identity, and I feel like when you go to other countries is when you become more patriotic, you become more intact with who you are, because you are being asked, okay, who are you? You understand? And when I was reading about I'm Swahili, when I was reading about the Swahili people, the mixture, the music, and when I see that Islam wants to take all this, because it says that music is not allowed. The only thing that is allowed is Islamic music. Instruments are not allowed. It breaks me, because now we lose our culture, we lose what makes every single thing beautiful, our ways of dressing, our words, our dances, our, because the cultural things around things like weddings and whatnot, and we have to lose all of those just for a religion to come in. And that's why it's important to understand that there's also a colonization. There was a woman in Tanzania called Bikidude, a Arab artist who died recently. she was singing, and one of the things she was singing was singing about rape in Tarab songs. But people on the comments were telling her, why don't you use your voice to read the Quran? You understand? But what I was saying was, this is equally important.
Yes,
but now when religion comes and tells you, no, it's not important and it's haram, and it should not, I feel that this is dangerous, and that's why there's a need to speak about these things.
Okay. Konene, so nimeinterrupt show kukuremind juu ya Lemfi, na sunajua Lemfi inakupatiaga an opportunity, especially kwa huko masaid za US, kubaki umetuma pesa Kenya haraka na usisahau transactions zinakuwaga free. Lakini saizi kitu moja ile nimenotice, kuna wasee wengi sana wale wako States wale wamesign up to Lemfi, lakini jo bado hamja transact jo. That first transaction jo baki umeifanya, make sure umetransact at least $100, ndio baki umepata $20 cashback. Alafu pia sisi kama iko nini tubaki tumepata $20 from your deal. Alafu pia usisahau kuwa saa hizi jo Lemfi inakupatia an opportunity ya kutuma pesa Kenya, lakini kama uko US and you need support, and pia unaweza baki umetumiwa pesa from Kenya to the US through Lemfi. Alafu pia mkiwa masaiti za States, na nyi wote wawili mko na Lemfi, mzabaki umetumia na pesa. Unajua si lazima mtumie ile ingine sijui ya huko, tumia tu yetu ya mtaa, Lemfi to Lemfi hapo haraka. Alafu vile pia musemaga siku hizi kuna vile mzabaki umelipa till number, na pia mzabaki umelipa pay bill direct. So tuseme you're doing like this construction project, and you need to deposit do kwa bank account fulani, na uko na pay bill ama a certain company and you have the pay bill, you can just do that through Lemfi, then upatie raya fulani. Alafu since uko States ya kucheza jo, so unangoja nini jo, changamka haraka baki umefanya that first transaction kutumia Lemfi. Usahau ni promo code ni ekonene. Your promo code ya ekonene ndio inakupatia $20 cashback on your first transaction. Lemfi, international payments for everyone. Wacha turudi kwa show.
Alafu I think another thing that I didn't ask you is, from the outside looking in, I always look at Muslims and I see they have no identity beyond their religion.
Yeah.
Is that true? Because you see, like with me, hata nikiwa Christian, I'm still, I can still be Luo. Apart from Luo, I can be a reggae fan. I can be a hip-hop fan. I can be outside my religion. I can be something else besides prayer and besides religion. So is that true, or it's just an outsider judging it?
No, I think, Islam, the meaning of Islam is submission. Like, you know, people normally say Islam means peace, but Islam means submission. Like, you know, that's the actual meaning of Islam. And submitting to what? Submitting to a way of life. You understand that God has ordained for you. And Islam is so thorough that it tells you how to go to the toilet, how to clean yourself, how to drink water, how to eat.
How to drink water? What do you mean?
Yes, there's a way that you should drink water, not gulping. There's a way how you should eat food in portions and whatnot. There is a way of how to have sex. Like, you know, what foot to go into the toilet with, what to say when you're going to the toilet. Yes.
So which foot?
Left. You have to go in with the left foot.
Kusimino jo nikiingia kwa choo sijaligi.
No, but then now Islam tells you exactly what to do, yani everywhere.
Sex, sapo kwa sex tuende kidogo. So sex, it's what? Like, what's not allowed? Like, at that time, are you allowed to have doggy?
No, it's I like, you know, honestly speaking, I think on the sex side I've not gone, but then I know what I know is that it tells you, like, you know, what positions are allowed, how to have it. I think people normally, because there is hadiths now, all these are the hadiths that tell you, and they're multiple, and sometimes they contradict, because also there's an ayah that says, like, you know, your woman, your wives are like a farmland. Do as you please. You understand with them in the Quran, but then in the hadith it now says, like, you know, maybe the missionary, where they get the missionary, there's a right way of, like, you know, doing sex according to like how the prophet did it. You understand, because the prophet is the embodiment of the perfect human being. So every single thing, how to greet someone who's not Muslim, how to greet. So, like, you know, if you really live Islam, there's no personality. There's one way of doing it the right way. But now people are personal, and now they choose, cherry pick is what I called, how to do and what to do.
Yeah, because I think that's inakuwaga like kwa every religion. We cherry pick that I'm going to do this, ingine nitalenga, but your sex nimefaind ikiwa ikiwa like too interesting.
Yeah.
Because hiyo pia imeniremind like there's a song that I shared this week because I love vile nilikuwa nakwambia I love like music a lot and that's why mi mwenyewe if I was to identify with anything I'd identify with music more than anything because even this podcast started because of my love for music. So kuna a rapper that I had say something so interesting. Alikuwa anasema cause you can take a trip around your yard and come back to find another farmer digging out your garden. So you understand what that means, yes?
Yeah.
So that's why it's so interesting to hear that mtu anakuonyesha how to dig your garden. I'm like, no, you keep yako, acha ni keep yangu. But yes, so now there's the issue pia ya anti-natalism. Yes, can you explain it to someone who does not understand?
So
like, what does that mean?
Anti-natalism says that it is morally wrong to bring a child here, given how much suffering there is in the world, and given that you are not able to ask for consent of your child before bringing your child in here.
Yes.
Yeah. So now imagine Squid Game. You understand?
Yeah.
In Squid Game, if you have watched, I'm guessing.
Squid Game.
So Squid Game.
I live with two girls, so you may watch. Yes.
Yeah, there's a chance. Do you think that Squid Game kind of represents life?
Somehow, because our love for money and also the amount of violence either we are ready to tolerate or even to unleash kwa world. Yes, I think it because when I look at life philosophically, remember when you talked about philosophy?
Yeah.
I don't know, I was having this conversation with Nani. I don't know if it was Kisiangani of the Kisiangani podcast where I was saying that according to Mimi, I've come to realize that life is a game and it's just a game of numbers and the numbers involved is money. So if you have money, you have life. Yes, nature can go against that and you end up sick or what.
At least
but
the world that we've created right now.
Yes, the world that we've created. So it's ended up just being a game and it's a game of money. Majuzi Ruto amenda unga and all he was talking about money. When countries that we classify as successful, like in America, it's because they have more money. The countries that we admire, like in Singapore, akina China, is because they are now figured out a way to make money. So I feel like life is just about money if I look at it philosophically.
No,
so
definitely.
Yes, but let's go back to anti-natalism. Yes.
Yeah, so is life Squid Game? So I guess we have made it understand, and I also believe consumerism and capitalism has made life meaning just about money. When you have money is when you have access to life. Otherwise you have to suffer. You understand, over your whole life just trying to live paycheck to paycheck to be able to actually start living life. Okay, so that's the world that we have created right now. So life in a way is Squid Game. So my question is, being is being in Squid Game a good thing? You understand, given that there's a possibility you're gonna get that money, is it a good thing or a bad thing? No.
Damn.
Would you choose to go into Squid Game? Let's say
I wouldn't choose.
You wouldn't?
I wouldn't choose because the amount of violence that I've seen there, but I'm not that desperate. If I was desperate, yes, I would. Why? Because sometimes when I go online and I hear people talking about how they want to overthrow Ruto tomorrow, I've been at points in my life where I'm doing so bad financially that I'm like, we need a revolution today. So I always say that, yes, right now I don't want a revolution. Why? Because
you're comfortable.
I'm comfortable. And as a human being, I'm selfish. Like the revolution right now will not help me. But at some point, that revolution could have helped me. So even with Squid Games, it's, yes, kuna times ninge join Squid Games, but not now.
Not now, yeah.
Yes, right now my Squid Game is Nini and it's okay.
Yeah. So the idea of anti-natalism is that if you would not choose for yourself to go to Squid Game when you are comfortable, why would you drag someone else without their consent when they are in a place where they do not need the money or anything, you understand, into Squid Game?
Yes.
Yeah. So the idea is that life has a lot of suffering. There is a possibility that someone comes into this life and, as you say, makes money and stuff and really becomes happy.
Yes.
But when you're looking at it in itself, life is suffering. When I was looking at religions, one of the religion I checked was Buddhism actually.
Yes.
And Buddhism is not really a religion. It only has a teacher. It doesn't have a god.
Yes.
Where it was a king.
Do you know how many times I've told people that? Because people can never see beyond that there are religions with no gods. And these people don't have that jealous God, that angry God, that But
so basically Buddhism, very fascinating story. The Buddha was a king, and he was a king, and in a place where he was a prince, where like in a place where the king and queen, the mother and father, was trying not to show him any kind of suffering. You understand? And one day I think he had a bird in a cage, and he realized that this bird, although it's being given food and everything, it really wants to be, when you open it, it will not stay there. It will want to be free.
Yes.
And he started thinking about the what is beyond the four walls.
Yes.
And he saw death, and he saw what, and he left all this money and go into under a tree and become and search for a greater meaning of life, which is enlightenment. To understand, enlightenment is understanding that there is a lot of suffering, and what you have to do is try not to look for much into this world.
Yes.
Anyways, so everyone, at least the Buddhists, the Muslims, they really believe that this life is suffering. There's a lot of suffering in this world. And all that I'm trying to say is that I have come into this world, I have looked around, I have seen how much death, diseases, how much uncontrollable death, diseases, wars. You understand how much the capitalist system is. Basically what the capitalist system is let us put as much suffering onto people, and the ones who make it out, the few who make it out, will be the bosses of these other people who are suffering. When I'm going to town and seeing at 5 a.m. in the morning lines for buses, and you see the same people having to go and come back in the evening, until 10 p.m. Other lines of buses, and people having to work 7 days a week, 6 days a week, again and again and again for almost 40 years of their life. I look at this life and say, for people inside, okay, try and strive, but don't bring another being into this when this other being does not need. This other being does not need Squid Game. I don't know if you understand.
Yes.
They're in a state where they don't even know that they exist. You without asking for their consent, because you are not able to ask for their consent, are taking them and dragging them into a life where they will need to survive, where they will need to look for resources. In a world where we are really having pressure on resources, have to go when you as a parent are not able to control the environment. You understand? Even if you have money as a parent, you're not able to confirm that you will be able to have. You're not able to confirm that they will not suffer from depression. So the state they're in is better than this state. So basically, that's what anti-natalism is.
Okay, because I always look at it from the animal perspective, and the animal's perspective of we are here for the species to thrive. So the species does not care about the individual.
Okay.
So as long as the human species somehow thrives. And so with that, so I look at it that way, and then another counter argument will be, if right now you're to go an happy person on earth, the probability that if you tried to give them a choice between continuing to live and dying that moment, they're going to always choose life. So there's also the beauty of life, that even when it's painful, it's still beautiful. So that's why niko nakwambia, maybe on that one we disagree, because I always feel like to have been alive, to have understood life, and to have seen other humans, seen animals, seen what, and to think about the odds of that happening. To me, it's such a beautiful experience that I understand the suffering, I understand health issues, I understand what, but it's such a beautiful feeling that look at this thing. This is the only thing that we can't put a price on. Right now, you go to how many people? And you go to, I'd say 100 over 100 people, and you tell them, I'll give you $1 billion. And then after nikupatia $1 billion, I'll kill you immediately. They'll say no. Why? Because life is priceless. but if you tell the same person ntakupatia hii a billion but okay wewe nitakudedisha but nitapatia family yako kuna the ones who'd choose let my family enjoy the money but let me go but otherwise if that money is not getting transferred to either a child or a wife or a lover or a family a lot of people will still choose life over money. Why? Because life is priceless. So I think that's
so I understand. I want to dive a bit into that because it's something that I get a lot. And yani another way of asking what you just said is like, why don't you kill yourself if life is suffering?
Asking
okay, so no problem,
because you are more worried about the future generation than yourself. You have figured your way around it.
And not only that but also like again like those are two different things. Once someone is alive they have the genetic or impulse to stay alive, you understand? Yes. No one will want to die, but then the question is when that person is already there, even if you're saying they're suffering, they will not want to die because dying as well is more suffering to the people because you're already alive. What I'm saying is that this person who has not yet, so it's kind of a not the same equivalence of saying that someone denying to die is the same as someone who has never existed not having to exist. I don't know if you understand. They're not the same thing. Yani you cannot.
Yes, I know. They're not the same.
And what all that I'm saying is that as long as you're not in control, you understand. Okay, like there are so many people. Like for example, do you believe people are suffering? For example, under Ruto's economy.
Yes.
There
are people who are people suffering under Ruto's, not just Ruto's, Uhuru's, Kibaki's.
The world. The Congo, the wars.
No. With Kenya, we always put it, Ruto is the worst. No, people have always suffered in this country. So, yes, I understand you.
And all that I'm saying is that, and what you had said about, humans are selfish and they just want to procreate and whatnot to survive the gene. There's no unselfish reason for humans to procreate. You understand?
Yes.
But procreation, unlike animals, that's where, and maybe I can ask, are you a parent?
Yes, I'm a parent. Yes, I have
normally,
one daughter.
it's kind of really tough for me to talk about anti-natalism to parents because they normally think that it's an attack to them. And all that I normally want to say is that I really hope what anti-natalism, I hope it does to already parents, is that it makes them understand that they have chosen for whatever selfish reasons, including I want a child or
I was having fun.
Yeah, I was having fun.
Yeah.
Or I want the species because that child before they were born, they never had a need for the species. You, after you were born, you thought, oh, this species is so good.
Yeah.
And I want it and I dragged you out of existence into this fight that was, I never asked you if you wanted to fight or not. And now you're in this world where you have to deal with all these threats, threats of climate change, antibiotic resistance, threats of war, threats of
as a black person, racism, and prejudice,
depression, fighting for limited resources with ever-growing numbers of people and whatnot. So you as a parent, I really hope that my anti-natalism preaches to already parents to look at their children and really say that I'm the one who brought this person and I'm not just their parent until, for example, they're 18. when I chose for them life, I did not just choose to have a baby, but then I am probably responsible for their, because I brought them into life. I did not bring them into until 18 or stuff of the sort. But then also for the other people to really think, unlike animals, unlike a rat in a lab, I think a lab rat, who when they're given food and shelter, they will just reproduce because that's the way, animals work. We have a brain. You understand? We have a conscience. And however much our conscience is one of the best things that has happened to us, is one of the biggest burden.
Yes.
We are aware we are alive. We are aware we're going to die. We are able to perceive suffering. You are able to, while using the cameras and you're using the phones, you are able to know that it has imprints of cheap labor, overworked people. It has imprints of Congolese children, having to mine this cobalt and whatnot. And when you're looking at it at the reasons for having children, which is to progress the human and whatnot, and what you're bringing your child into, I think it's a better choice. It's a more moral choice to choose not to bring someone into this life, which now the meaning, as you're saying, has only become money, which is go to school, be a conformist, go into work for 40 years,
Yes.
get sick, die. You understand? And go through all this suffering for a non-inherent reason.
Okay.
You understand? So I'm just, and I
See,
think...
and that's what I'm saying. Like, I understand your reasoning. I've heard even people say the thing that poor people should not have children because the children are like 99% guaranteed to suffer. I've even looked at the caste system, like place called Hindi, for example. So I understand your reasoning, but now my counter argument is always like life is also, even in its suffering, life, because personally, I always tell people, like, I grew up in quotes, a poor family. So we never had. And even when we never had, I still enjoyed life. I don't know if that makes sense. That with all this lacking, where sometimes we'd sleep hungry and we'd do all this, it was still fun. And then now I show up on earth, and one of my greatest passions becomes music. And I think about music, I'm like, what is music? It's the manipulation of sound. And I'm there thinking, like, me as this animal that exists, how did I come to enjoy sound being manipulated? Like ta 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 ta. It enters into my ears, and this can make me have the best day ever. And that's why I'm like, yes, there's all this suffering, but to also have lived and to also have experienced these things, music, to have experienced pain, pleasure, all this stuff, I'm like yeah. So I understand, yes. And it's going. Life is only going to get worse, especially for Africa, where we are still caught up in our medieval practices. As these other countries are figuring out the cures for cancer, sisi bado tunafanya vitu za kipumbavu.
Climate change. I don't know if you believe in climate change and the pressure that it's going to have.
It's on a belief system. Yes. So as vitu kama climate change ina happen, and I look at now a country like US that's supposed to be a leader in this ends up electing a clown, and the clown treats climate change as a belief system, and then you have,
because they're looking at money more.
Yes, they're looking at money more. So my argument will always be to have experienced all these things. Like, I always wonder, what would life have been without music? And are there humans who lived like hizo siku za when humans were evolving, tumetoka homo habilis, akitha the Neanderthals, did they have music? Did they have anything that they used to do? And it would just be great for them. So I think when I look at life through that, the things that I've enjoyed as a human being, I'm still like, wacha tu tuendelee kuzaana. I know,
no, that's
it's
the thing.
worth it. Plus I think the population will thin itself. I think, so ushaonaga, the more educated you are, the less children you are bound to have. The more what, the more. So I always feel hivyo. Alafu sasa pia kwako, you as an anti-natalist, the other question I'd ask you is, for how long do you want to live? Because if you live long enough, you might need help, and that help has to come from the younger generation.
No, I think I'm a very big, pusher of euthanasia.
Yes.
I think euthanasia needs to be legal. Like, when life becomes way more suffering than actually living, people need to have the choice to kill themselves. And I think I will do, I will, once I feel like life is now becoming a burden to not only my conscience and myself, but to other people as well, it's when I'll choose to end it.
You won't hang on to every fiber?
No, I won't.
Every second?
No, I won't. And I think, that's another selfish reason where we're bringing someone else, into this world. So because we're thinking of ourselves, who is going to take care of us? Again, you're bringing someone into, I understand when you say, things like music and stuff really give you meaning. And I have found my own way of, trying to be happy and whatnot. But then imposing, I would say we are the lucky ones. You understand? Not everyone does find. There are people, I don't know if you believe that there are people who are in constant suffering, their life is suffering through their own life. So as long as you cannot guarantee for 100% that being is going to be a place where they're in non-existence, I believe is a better place.
Yes.
Than coming into life where there's a possibility they might end up like me and you, where they're having a place where even though they're having financial struggles or what struggles, they're still, for example, I'm really against the capitalistic system that we're living right now. I really feel that it's inhumane, seeing at the company that I work, I'm an executive, I'm the one running everything and stuff, but I'm looking at like my workers when they need to be at work by 7 and they're taking matatus. This means you need to maybe wake up at 3 and they need to leave at 5. At 5 every other person is leaving.
Yes.
Like by the time you get to town again, you take a bus and you have to leave with 21 days of this and this periods. You understand, one of the things that is not talked about, like what you're inflicting as well is like when you're having a girl child, is that you're having a child which will have to endure sometimes PCOS and all these things, PMDD, where they have to endure every month suffering, you understand, of pain and whatnot. What I'm saying is that, and all that for no greater or meaning or whatnot. I'm thinking when they are not existing is better, you understand, and instead of that chance. I myself for example haven't suffered per se in my life, but then I'm not willing to take a chance for someone else just because they might end up like how I've ended up until now.
But then the other question would be, like if I was a psychologist, then my question would be, is Aziz an anti-natalist because of the fact that growing up he had a very different like sort of childhood, like you're not tight with your parents? Like remember when you gave me that story of being at the airport and you're alone and your family is not there? Because for me, for example, in such a day I'd be there asking my mother not to embarrass me, because she'd be there even dancing, telling people her kid is going abroad, doing all this stuff. So could that be the reason, the fact that maybe relationship yako na parents wako, because it's not just you, even majuzi niko nabonga na Amenya, you know Nelson Amenya, the guy who did the expose Adani deal. And he was talking of the fact that he can't have a conversation with his parents because he looks at them like two strangers. Of course him is not an anti-natalist, but I'm saying, do you think that played a role in you being...
I think it might have played a role, probably, because then I went on and just lived alone through my own experiences and whatnot. But the end goal for me is more important than whatever reason, you understand. The end goal is to end suffering. I really, even in Islam, I was really even praying that God spares Satan, you understand, because I thought that Satan only had an illusion of choice. You understand, Satan, when he was being asked to bow down to God did not already knew what the outcome was supposed to be. So it was like a magician asking you to choose a card. You understand, he already knows what card you're choosing. You think you have a choice, but then you really don't have a choice. So I was really begging God to stop suffering, and I really believe that the only way that we can completely stop suffering, finish diseases, finish wars, unfortunately, because we are conscious beings, you understand, we understand, we are able to perceive suffering, we are able to feel suffering, we are able to feel when other people are suffering, our conscious, however much beautiful it is, to be able to see all these things, ending suffering for me is bigger than that.
But then another thing would be, is Aziz happy?
I would say I try to be happy, but then at the end of the day, with all the suffering that is in the world, am I able to be happy when I know that my phone, there's someone who's literally suffering, a child whose complete childhood is being stolen, when they're using, you understand, when I'm using this phone, or when I know that I'm able to do nothing about the children being killed, for example in Gaza and whatnot, am I am trying to convince myself to be happy despite all this, and try to take all these things out and try to, but then at the end of the day there is suffering that is always more in that sense.
But sasa, of course, Aziz is married, so as a married man, there's always the oops. So if an oops moment was to happen, what would you do?
Abort, number one. But the thing
the abortion doesn't work, because there are people who try that and it doesn't work.
Yeah, like, we're taking all kinds of precautions. Like, in that my wife, we're just waiting. Like, I'm waiting when I'm having enough time. I'm gonna get my vasectomy to make sure the oops moment doesn't happen. My wife wants to remove her uterus. Like, I think I'd mentioned to Eric as well, because she doesn't want to.
Is she doing this because she loves you, or she's doing this?
No, she's doing this because she doesn't want to deal with periods and she doesn't want kids. So why have a uterus that is coming with the burden of periods?
But swali itakuwa, at what point did she discover this? Because I've seen another thing about women. I always
they can change mind.
I always not changing mind. I always side with women a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call myself a feminist, because my wife always tells me you're not a feminist. So I always quote a certain rapper, the same rapper who alikuwa amebonga juu ya finding someone digging out your garden. He has this line, I'm a misogynist, I'm a feminist, I'm also a misogynist. So I also have my own misogyny. So I have that. But one thing I know about women is a woman can love you so purely that she ends up supporting your decisions and adopting your ideology to a level that she loses herself.
I understand.
So with that in mind, do you think before your wife met you, was she an anti-natalist?
Yes, she had completely different reasons. She was a firstborn daughter, I think, in a broken family, and she already was a parent for so long.
Yes.
And her reasons of not having a child, but when I came with my ideology, of course, like, it made sense to her. But then immediately when we met, our first conversation basically was that, like, someone who does not want kids for A, B, C, and she was also, I don't want kids for these other reasons.
Okay.
But then it married, so I don't think there's any time where, or any questioning that I have of myself of, one day will she want to have children, because it was apparent. Yeah, from the beginning. Yeah.
It was apparent that she does not want to be a parent. That's another rapper pia na try. So kuna rapper anaitwa Chino Excel, him used to say, because it's apparent that my parent was not that my parents were not supposed to be
didn't want to be parents.
Yes, there's something he used to play. It's apparent that my parent was not supposed to be a parent, something like that. So but sasa me, what I'll say also is, there are the risks that come with surgery. The risks that come with like removing a uterus, for example. Why not? Kama we tayari ushapata vasectomy, hakuna haja.
Because she doesn't want to deal with periods.
Oh, because hers is more invasive than yours. You understand?
No. But actually, like, for the children thing, I am the one who completely, even from before, it's just that I have never found enough time because of work that I will be able to rest. But then I think now I'm planning to quit my job, and the first thing that I want to do is a vasectomy, because I believe, like, it's way easier for men in relationship to be able to do it. It's not invasive. Her reasons of removing her uterus are more of, she doesn't want to deal with her periods.
How old is she right now?
28.
28?
Yeah.
So she has maybe another 17 years of periods, eh?
17. It depends. Like, she got her periods very early, and I think she has endometriosis. She has not been diagnosed, but then her periods are very, very painful, and she doesn't want to, like, deal with them. That's she's basically, she already doesn't want kids, and right now, when you don't want kids, your uterus is just a burden.
Yes, it's
in
a
that
burden.
sense. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. Because one thing I was trying to understand is, it's not that she's this woman who's so in love with you that she's following you everywhere. Yeah. Which is a beautiful thing, to have such a life partner. Like I always say, also when I go on these like to masculinity channels and I see them bashing women, I'm always like, marriage can also be one of those things that saves you from a lot of bullshit, and also to have a life partner, someone who knows who that has your back full time. It's a beautiful thing. But let's not change the person in the process. So as long as unasema si umemchange, I think I actually support that. Because that means that two like-minded people, and that's what makes marriage beautiful. Because I'm sure we hakuna siku amkago like, welcome married. Ooh.
No. And I mean, unfortunately, like, for example, I think I had said this in Eric's podcast.
Yes.
We didn't attend our wedding, my wife
Yes.
and I.
Yes.
My people, they really had, and if we were not like-minded people who actually like each other, I would have been forced into attending that wedding because my parent wanted and we did not want.
Okay.
We did not want.
Is she from your same tribe in
No.
Quds?
She's Djiboutian. She's Djiboutian,
Okay,
who lived most of her life in Sweden, and we met in Turkey.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but we're living here together now. But then she's my parents rejected her. She was not the typical Muslim, wearing hijab and whatnot, has piercings and whatnot. So, our wedding was a complete, scam, basically. My parents had, we didn't want a wedding to begin with.
Okay.
Because we don't even believe in all the signing papers and whatnot. If we love each other, the government doesn't have to be involved, or religion, in that case. So we didn't want a wedding. And then suddenly, my mom was crying, literally, that please, let's just do a wedding. Let's do this and this, because these are people living in the eyes of other people. You understand?
Watu wengine
watasema nini and stuff. And then we said, okay, then let's just do it, but 70 people. Before we know, it was 490 women, 300 and 250 men.
Oh, damn.
And and my father was people were bringing, my father had said he's going to pay for the food, but now relatives were bringing money, but he was paying himself instead of the money that he's giving for the food. Now anashukisha when there's all these other things, and we realized, whoa, we did not sign up for this, and we backed off. You understand? So this, because we have that harmony and whatnot, we don't even live in other people's eyes. Because, in Islam, if your wife is not wearing hijab, there's a term for you, which is a weak man or something of the sort. You can see, for what they are. And all these masculinity channels as well, they're really, at the end of the day, people who want to control, there is so much insecurity.
Yes. I always look at them that, if you have to keep saying, I'm a man, I need a wife, that means you're weak. You don't even...
And if you need to control your wife, and you're always afraid that your wife is gonna do this and this, then you're insecure about yourself.
Yes, I think the saying that they have in these channels is kugongewa is a must. So I've seen even some advice men that your woman should not go to work, and it's one of the most bullshit things, because remember we were talking about capitalism, and in this capitalistic society, in this capitalistic world, 2-income households normally thrive more than one income. If it ends up being a one-income household, sawa. But for it to be a one-income, because you are worried that if your wife goes out there, she's going to be screwed by the next guy. It just shows you how insecure you are as a man, and how you also doubt your bedroom skills. Because if
you're
satisfying your woman,
why would she? I'm a single income household, and it's just because I really believe that the capitalistic women, the capitalistic system is not meant for women. It doesn't take into account periods and all that. It doesn't take into account pregnancy. Women are asked to go into the capitalist system and fight against men when there's a lot of men are looked down. It's very competitive. It's a system created by men, and I really believe a woman, I really believe we need to change the system. Part of feminism is also changing this capitalistic competitive system. And when my wife wants to work, and if she wants to work, let her work, but then let her work for whatever she works, but I will not expect her. You understand?
But you see, you it's akitaka kuwaka anaweza work. For this, it's a man telling other men that if your wife goes to work, she's going to be screwed by another man. And you understand, how insecure are you? Hii world yako, alafu who did you marry? Did you marry a hoe? She's just going to go out there and just the only thing she thinks about is sex. So I always laugh at the masculinity channels. I always find them to be bullshit. Man, do this, man, do that. Because I think in different worlds, I also feel like it's a man's world. I always say that there are two levels of the world. So it's a man's world, and a higher level, it's a white man's world. That means that white people can go to places we can never go to. But it's a man's world in that even nature favors me
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that I don't have to deal with
To deal
periods.
with, yes.
I don't have to deal with pregnancy. I
Yeah.
don't have to deal with
Menopause.
menopause.
Yeah.
If I'm out on the street at night, can I be SA'd? Yes, I can be SA'd, but a woman's probability of being assaulted is much, much higher than mine.
Catcalled.
Yes.
Yeah.
So naangalia hizi vitu and not even beyond catcalls.
Yeah.
Unajua like the real
actual essay. Yeah.
Yes. So when I look at hizo vitu zote, it's a man's world. So I never see the reason why the boy needs to be empowered.
Yeah.
The boy, once you show up on earth as a man, there are a lot of advantages. Are there disadvantages that you have to deal with? Yes. But even the modern man is dealing with less disadvantages than the man who had to go to war at 16 with a spear.
No, and all those disadvantages are created by the same patriarchy.
Yes.
You understand? All those disadvantages are because we are meant to be competitive. We are meant to be like, only few people will leave the block once you work and do this and all this way. Like, while it's a capitalistic system, there's no really divisions between people. There's no divisions between men and women. The division is between the rich class, and the poor class. You understand? And but then the way the rich class are doing is the dividing people and making them fight, men and women. When you understand, men, if today men became more feminist, and if we took into consideration that equity and equality, you understand that women are coming into this capitalistic system which was only meant for men, and we need to change the system. It will even benefit men. You understand? But we are really fighting, the masculine channels are really directing the frustrations, even going to war and stuff like that. Is who are you going to fight for? When the Americans are going to Afghanistan or what, they're literally going to fight for the rich people. I don't know if you understand, but then they will tell you, why don't women go to war? Okay, women will tell you there was never need for war. All these things were solvable things. It is just people fighting for resources using men who are easily manipulatable. You understand? Because men are actually more emotional and emotionally repulsive, and more conforming. You understand that they can be put in militaries and fight for the bidding of
the
other
richer
people.
And the upper class. But Aziz, asante sana for this conversation. It's been a very interesting one. We've been here for 3 hours. Tumekuwa hapa for 3 hours. And let's continue. Maybe the last thing I'm going to ask you is, imagine an Africa that's more science driven than religious. Than religious. Yes. What do you imagine about that Africa?
I think we're going to think more. We're going to think more. Once we think more, we're going to understand concepts of money. Right now, the only reason why Congolese people are fighting against each other is literally there's a documentary called Virunga. And Virunga is a national park in Congo that has a lot of minerals. And people are being given, the same companies are giving different groups that are fighting against each other money and weapons to continue fighting, to create this instability so that they can take all their resources and kill all the gorillas and whatnot. All that I'm saying is that if we are taught how to think, then other than being conformist, if we really reintroduce or introduce philosophy instead of teaching religion, we will understand money. You understand? We will understand that the reason should not be money, that we are living. They're literally right now selling you a sunset and nature on your phone and telling you, for you to have this, you have to work for money so much, you understand, so that you are able to get this when all these things are actually around us. You understand? They're free, but they're trying to sell you access into these things. Congolese people, when they really learn that they're living in heaven, and whatever money that they're gonna get to build a 5-story building, 20-story building
Yes.
is not the same as the heaven that they're living in. You understand? And instead of them, and if they were philosophers,
Yes.
if they were thinkers, they would not be fighting against each other for something as stupid as money.
Yes.
And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing, like, you know, we go over, we ask questions, we understand, like, you know, when religion is put aside, science comes, we really understand that we are all the same species, like, you know, the same humans, and even go beyond our species and understand that animals are part of us.
Yeah.
You understand? And we will live in harmony.
Yes.
You understand? Not only as Africa, but the world. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, what is happening in America, what is happening in China affects us. Climate change is an example of that.
Yes.
Like, you know, when if people are not believing in science and are more religious based, even if Africa unites and whatnot, if America continues, like, you know, like continues fucking up the climate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that card hiyo imejaa but malizia tu.
Yeah, no problem. So, like, you know, so the whole world, you know, I'm not only looking at us, like, you know, at an African perspective. I see every single person as a human. Like, you know, I dislike groupings. Groupings like African, grouping like countries, groupings of like, you know, countries and borders and ethnicities. All this, I think, should be let through, and we can live in harmony as a
Species.
like, yeah, species
as humanity.
Yes.
Yeah, so imekuwa ni episode 526. Kama kawaida tukisema like, subscribe,
Yes.
hit the notification button, tell a friend, tukimalizia tukisema eko nene.
Iko nini?